Tracy McGrady should be remembered as one of the greatest players of all time. From the ages of 21 to 27, T-Mac would average 27 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game, and was named to 7 All-Star teams and 7 All-NBA teams. Going further, in the 2002 and 2003 seasons, T-Mac was just 22 and 23 years old and was named to the All-NBA first team both seasons. On that first team, he was joined by a then 23 and 24-year-old Kobe Bryant. So what's up guys, Mike here, and right now let's play a game. Guess who is who? I already told you that T-Mac and Kobe were both first team All-NBA in both of these seasons, but who averaged what? Well, as you can see, the man who appears to have slightly better stats was Tracy McGrady, which has to beg the question, how did a man who at the age of 22 was already seen as a top 5 player in the NBA never win a playoff series? And yes, I know he technically won a playoff series with the Spurs, but T-Mac was a bench warmer for that team. I think we can all agree that while that technically counts, what matters more is that T-Mac never won a playoff series when he was a relevant player. Well, the answer to that is a combination of poor decision making, bad luck, and some, I know you're not going to want to hear it, T-Mac fans, but choking down the stretch of big playoff games. And yes, we are going to dive into each of his main playoff losses in the second half of this video. For now though, let's talk about T-Mac's first major mistake, because in 2000, Tracy would leave the Toronto Raptors after they were swept in the first round of the playoffs, as he wanted to play for his own team and get out of his cousin Vince Carter's shadow. The very next year, the Raptors would advance to the second round of the playoffs and lose in 7 games to the Philadelphia 76ers, who would go on to reach the finals. In this 2001 season, Tracy would average about 27 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists a game. He was also named to both his first All-Star team and to the second team All-NBA. The Magic that season would reach the playoffs with T-Mac carrying them. And so it is very likely that if Tracy had stayed with the Raptors, Toronto could have reached the NBA Finals in just T-Mac's 4th season, and his playoff curse would have already been broken. This was a bad choice, as Tracy himself has said, quote, "In hindsight, looking back, obviously I wish I'd stayed in Toronto. There's no doubt we could have contended for a championship. I think about that often." Instead though, he did leave for the Magic, and now enter the bad luck. Just to start things off here, if he had played in the modern NBA, Tracy would have been forced to stay in Toronto for at least 5 seasons due to the way contracts work now. However, things were different in the early 2000s, and so T-Mac was able to leave. Now, the reason that Tracy chose the Magic makes this situation even more unlucky, because when he chose Orlando, he did so with the belief that he would pair up with superstar Grant Hill. At the time, Hill was already a 5-time All-Star at 28 years old, and he had already been named to 4 All-NBA second teams and 1 All-NBA first team. And so, after averaging 25.8 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game in his final season as a Piston, Hill had established himself as a top 5 to 10 player in the league and was the perfect veteran star to pair with a young T-Mac. Both of them were seen as elite all-around players, as they were able to rebound the ball, score at will, and get their teammates easy shots. This should have been a perfect pairing. However, playing for the Pistons in 2000, Hill would sprain his ankle in the regular season and was forced to leave Game 2 of the first round of the playoffs with this injury. He would never return during the playoffs that season, but the thing is, this injury was seen as just a bump in the road. Hill even remembers, quote, "I had been told everything was fine. I even found out that certain team doctors were questioning whether I was really hurt, thinking I was soft or whatever." This was not the case, because after signing with the Magic, Grant Hill would play in just 4 games in his first season with the team, and then he would play in just 47 games total in his first 3 seasons. After that, in his 4th season, he would sit out the entire year after undergoing surgery, and because of this, Tracy McGrady then had no choice but to leave for the Houston Rockets. Now, when looking at the NBA's biggest what-ifs, Tracy McGrady had already lived 2 of them at this point. What if he had never left the Raptors, and what if Grant Hill was never injured? Because Grant Hill averaged over 10 win shares a game for his entire career before injuries briefly stopped him. His loss as a player was absolutely huge. Again, he was a top 5 to 10 player, and what's more, because he signed a 7-year, $93 million contract, which was absolutely pretty massive at the time, the Magic were not able to sign any other big name free agents during T-Mac's time there to get him the help he needed. And so T-Mac went on to join the Rockets and Yao Ming, where we have to quickly mention two things that worked against him there. And speaking of things that sound great, guys, I am very excited to announce that this video is sponsored by Raycon. Now, Raycon is a brand of wireless earbuds that, in my opinion, are the best wireless earbuds on the market. The reason I say this is that the price of Raycons is about half the price of other earbuds on the market, and when it comes to sound, they sound just as incredible as the other top brands you might know. And guys, Raycon actually sent me their everyday E25 model. They told me it was their best model yet, and I've got to say, I definitely agree. Now, personally, with other earbuds, I've always had a problem with them falling out of my ears as I do things like exercise. With these Raycons, I've never had that problem at all. Plus, they are extremely comfortable, and they charge to give you 6 hours of playtime, something that I think is huge because I hate having to constantly charge things. And on top of all this, Raycon is hooking you guys up because if you go to buyraycon.com/Mike Korzemba, you are going to get 15% off of your order. That is 15% off of earbuds that already are about half the price of other top earbuds on the market. And if my opinion is not enough, well, J.R. Smith feels the same way. He personally has stated he loves Raycon. So again, go to buyraycon.com/Mike Korzemba for 15% off. The link to that is going to be in the description of this video. Trust me, guys, you will not regret it. The first was that in the 2007 season, Yao played in only 48 games and was still second team All-NBA. And the Rockets still managed to win 52 games that season and were the 5th seed in the playoffs. And so if Yao had not been injured, you have to imagine they would have won more games and been a higher seed in the playoffs. The other thing we have to mention is that in 2008, Yao would miss the entire playoffs with injury, yet again leaving T-Mac without his team's other star. But with all of this said, we now have to get into a major reason why Tracy McGrady never won a playoff series, and that is his own inability to rise up in clutch moments. There are a ton of examples of this, so let's go season by season here. In 2002, the Orlando Magic were a 5 seed and lost in the first round to the Hornets 3-1. The thing is, if we look at game 1, the Magic only lost by 1 point as T-Mac shot 8 for 21. And then diving deeper here, with 8 minutes and 28 seconds left in this game, T-Mac hits a 2-point shot to make this score 74-63. That's right, the Magic had an 11-point lead, but from then on, Tracy would go on to miss his last 4 shots, have 2 turnovers, and miss 2 free throws. This includes this play with the Magic down 2.
1 play to play. He's got 19. 8 of 20 shooting. Great fake.
Then with around 29 seconds left, T-Mac is fouled down 2 and misses 1 of his free throws. But still, to end the game with 6.7 seconds left, Tracy has a chance to win and...
It's off to McGrady, picked up by Lynch. McGrady.
Now, moving forward to the 2003 season, the Magic are the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, but they surprisingly jump out to a 3-1 series lead over the Pistons and are about to shock the world. Only they lose game 5 by 31 points, lose game 6, and then in game 7, T-Mac shoots 7 for 24 with 4 turnovers and only scores 21 points. In the first 4 games of this series, T-Mac averaged 36.3 points on 52% shooting, but in the last 2 deciding games, he struggled with 29 points per game on 35% shooting as he shot an average of just 9 for 26. If you are taking 26 shots and you only shoot 35%, the blame is going to fall on you. Now though, we are in the 2005 season and Tracy is on the Houston Rockets and they are the 5th seed. And look at that, Houston goes on to win their first 2 games and Tracy even does this.
McGrady, 6 seconds, down to 5, down to 4, McGrady for the win! Yes! Tracy McGrady, outstanding, outrageous!
Then though comes game 3. With around 9.5 minutes left in this game, the Rockets were up by 8 with Tracy sitting on the bench. He then re-enters the game with 9 minutes and 22 seconds left and proceeds to shoot 1 for 5 with a turnover and 2 missed free throws. The Rockets lose this game by 4. Then in game 4, the score is tied headed into the 4th quarter and T-Mac shoots 1 for 5 for the field and has 1 turnover. The Rockets again lose by 4. As if this was not bad enough, in game 5, T-Mac would miss 2 late free throws and then, yeah, yes, he misses a shot that could have potentially sent this game into overtime. With that said, the Rockets were not dead. They made it to a Game 7 where T-Mac would shoot 10 for 26 with 4 turnovers, and Houston would lose by 40. To be fair though, in this series, T-Mac did average 30.7 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 6.7 assists per game on 46% shooting. I'm not questioning the stats this man was able to put out. What I am showing you guys is that in the fourth quarter of these huge playoff games, when the score was close, Tracy did not rise to the occasion. This was also the case in 2007. The Rockets were again a 5 seed, and again they took a 2-game series lead. The second round was right there in their grasp. However, they would proceed to give up this series lead, and we had a Game 7. In this Game 7, T-Mac actually makes an end one with 6 minutes and 9 seconds left and puts the Rockets up by 5. He then proceeds to miss the free throw, then misses a 3, then misses another jumper, and wouldn't you know it, the Rockets end up losing by 4. For this series, T-Mac did not play his best. He averaged 25.3 points per game on only 39% shooting. And finally here, we have 2008. To cap things off here, with 6 minutes and 39 seconds left in the game, T-Mac steps onto the court down by 1. He would go on to make 1 of 2 free throws, then turns the ball over and proceeds to miss all 3 of his final shots, and the Rockets lose by 6. They would end up losing this series in 6 games, and really, this was Tracy McGrady's final chance to win a playoff series. Because yes, he was on the Spurs technically, but as I previously mentioned, I don't count that, and basically no one does. He was a bench warmer for that team. If you want to count it, fine, but in my eyes, T-Mac never really made it past the first round of the playoffs, which again is extremely unfortunate. Based on the early success of his young career, again, Tracy McGrady could have gone down as one of the greatest players of all time. But based on everything we've already said, and based on his own injuries, Tracy McGrady was never able to realize his full potential. At the end of the 2008 season, T-Mac was just 28 years old and should have had several great seasons left. However, to put it simply, the man's back gave out on him. Tracy had been plagued with back injuries throughout his Houston career, and in 2009, he averaged just 15.6 points per game and played in just 35 games. After that, he never scored more than 10 points per game for a season and retired at the age of 33, making him easily one of the greatest what-if players the NBA has ever seen. And so there we have it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like. It helps out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on. That way you don't miss a video. I have a ton of cool ideas that are going to be coming soon. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. By the way, if you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are going to love watching. All you have to do is just click on either one of them on the screen right here. And other than that, guys, again, have a great day and peace.